Hello, welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Natalie King. In this episode, we are taking an in-depth look at ethics of artificial intelligence in the workplace. Since the release of AI-powered chatbots like ChatGPT, AI usage has rapidly changed how we view what it means to work today. This year, 38% of US employees say they are already using AI on the job. And an estimated 1/3 of workers worry AI could limit job opportunities. A recent report from Muckrack also shows that 82% of journalists have used at least one AI tool on the job, but not without controversy. Joining me today is Marco Buscaglia, a freelance journalist who was at the center of a major controversy involving the use of AI in the workplace. Buscaglia made headlines last May after publishing a summer reading list in the Chicago Sun-Times that used AI-generated content. The list included at least 10 book titles that didn't exist. Buscaglia has taken full accountability for his actions, but not without national attention.
Chicago Sun-Times is investigating how artificial intelligence made its way into a recent issue.
My phone today, but the Chicago Sun-Times posted an article.
A newspaper in Chicago ran actual AI-generated content. It included books that don't exist.
Marco, thank you for joining me today. First, let's talk a little bit more about your story. You had quite the controversy with AI at the Chicago Sun-Times. Can you tell me a little bit more about what happened?
Yeah, the Sun-Times was actually a subscriber to a service out of King Features in California, which is who I was working for as a freelancer. I had been doing work for them for, 5 or 6 years. So what happened last March, I was putting together all this content for this section, and one of the stories was the top 15 books to look forward to this summer. I have no problem taking full accountability for my error, but it was more of me using AI in a bad way to research a story. Basically, I think what the way it ended up working out for me, unfortunately, was working on this story late at night, after my regular job. In this case, I was just trying to compile a quick list. So I went to a couple different sources, had compiled a couple different lists, and then was going to go back and verify everything and put together a list. I never did the second part to my, which is a huge error on my part, and I sent it on. So I started getting those calls, like I think it was a Tuesday morning, and my byline's not on that list, but as soon as I heard it, I knew I was the one who did it. But anyway, so it's just next thing you know, it's in the, it was in obviously the Sun-Times, NPR, Tribune, The Atlantic, New York Times, Philadelphia Inquirer. Everywhere. It was everywhere. It was a pretty intense several days. So yeah.
And now some people have come to your defense, citing this as more of an institutional failure than an individual one. What are your thoughts on this perspective?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't want to let myself off the hook. If I were to do something like this again, I would make sure that there was a more sort of established protocol. And one of the things I think happened to me too was I was working on this section late. I was trying to finish it up, and I probably skipped some of the things I normally do. And as a freelancer, that's a pretty dangerous mistake. You can't enter into a contract and think that your stuff's going to get always checked out.
And overall, do you think there's enough transparency and oversight in journalism where AI is used?
I do think that, I think we could have been more transparent. I think I should have been more transparent. And I think that, to be honest, it's probably going to be a pretty relied on source, whether it's a good idea or not, whether it's ethical or not. It saves a lot of money, and so I think publishers or advertising groups will look to that. So yeah, there should definitely be more transparency.
Spotlight correspondent Gianna Perez has a question from our studio audience. Gianna?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Marissa Spada.
Thank you. What's your question?
My question is, where do we draw the line between using AI as a tool and using it to replace human effort?
I think that the mistake I made was using it as a tool like I would have used Google, just as a research thing. I think that was my mistake, and then relying on it too much, to sort of replace what I should have been doing myself, which is checking the work, making sure those books were all legit, making sure that everything was factual. So yeah, I think there's a definite overlap sometimes between the research aspect of it and then the sort of taking that research and presenting it as fact or presenting it as a finished product, which was definitely my mistake.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Cameron Ruth.
Thank you. What's your question?
What have you learned from this experience?
What have I learned from this experience? Oh, a bunch of stuff. I didn't think that the rage would come so much from inside my own industry. And there were so many great people that I used to work with and people that I had relationships with as a freelance writer or in different capacities who came to my defense and said, Marco does good work and he's a good guy and this was obviously a mistake, he's admitted it. But I also learned that it's really important to have a system and a process and to never stray from that process, no matter if it's 2 a.m, or if it's, if you have 2 more hours to put together for 3 more stories or 4 more stories, or if you have 2 more weeks. So I think that was the biggest lesson for me. I'm not a Machiavellian person at all. I really do enjoy the ride. I don't think I can, do a lot of things as long as the end result is great. I mean, I have a great family, I have great friends, and they were really very necessary. And I'm pretty much done in the industry. I mean, it's been 10 months. I'll get up to a second interview and then all of a sudden I get ghosted, and I'm pretty sure it's because somebody in the HR department did a Google search and my name pops up. But although now, like you were saying, there are people who are saying in defense of Marco Buscaglia, which is great. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Marco, for joining us today and for sharing your story. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Every day begins with a choice. Either rush through or take a moment. That first sip, it's more than coffee. It's a reset, a connection, a smile, or even a good luck on your exam from your favorite barista. Every cup we craft is made with care, because how you start your day matters. So savor that moment. Every great day begins with your first sip. Metropolis Coffee Company, obsessively crafted for you.
In what ways do you anticipate AI impacting your career field, or if it has already, how so?
So I am a finance major with communication studies minor, and I currently work in marketing. And so everything I do every day has some element of AI integrated into it. And so a lot of what I do on the daily basis is create these AI, these custom GPTs that will help me with my day-to-day tasks.
I'm an English and studio art major, so it's already impacting my job opportunities and job options. I anticipate it's certainly going to possibly discredit people in my field.
And in the future, I think, as an economist at least, I should be able to use AI as a tool. I'm not so worried about what it can. If it can take away my job, for example, I think I should just learn how to use it as a tool.
A lot of my classes, we start the class learning about the different statistics that AI has impacted on entry-level jobs, and right now it has entry-level jobs have gone down about 16%, so it does have a big impact, but I do think that there's always going to be a need for human validation on the AI's product.
Welcome back to Spotlight. Today, we're discussing the ethics of AI in the workplace. Young professionals are still learning how to navigate a new AI-based workforce. To prepare students, colleges like Loyola University Chicago are offering more classes in AI literacy. The Quinlan School of Business recently added the Artificial Intelligence and Business of Applied AI minors to their curriculum. Many educators discourage generative AI usage and are worried students will become over-reliant on it. Nearly 90% of students have used AI for academic purposes. Joining me now is Loyola computer science professor George Thiruvathukal, who is an advocate for the use of AI in education. Also joining me is Jonathan Takyi, a Loyola junior who is pursuing a Business of Applied AI minor and works at the school's Lab for Applied AI. George, you have been a proponent of changing the narrative surrounding AI in higher education. How do you think colleges should approach AI usage?
Well, colleges have to get to work. We are now 3 years into the AI era. We've been living with AI. I think some of us have been living with it for a longer period of time. I started using artificial intelligence as not a replacement for my teaching, but to make sure that my students were aware that my head was in the game. So the reason I'm an advocate is because I've been an advocate for technology ever since setting foot at the Loyola campus. We have to make sure that students do not enter a marketplace thinking that they're not going to be working with artificial intelligence, because it would be a form of malpractice to do so. And my entire teaching is centered on how do we keep our heads in the game and make responsible use of artificial intelligence and not spend our time on things that frankly are just busy work.
Now, Jonathan, what prompted your decision to add a Business of Applied AI minor, and how do you see this choice shaping your future?
The reason I kind of put it as a minor is basically because of the availability that Loyola gave me. This summer I had the great opportunity to actually intern as a summer student researcher right there at the Applied AI Lab Center. And during that internship, I kind of realized and kind of hit the light bulb moment when I was like, oh man, like this AI stuff is truly taking over. AI is an art and a science at the same time. You need sort of the scientific background and knowledge to understand how exactly the large language modules and certain things work. But I also say it's an art because with creativity and the way you prompt certain things, you can make AI really your tool. So it was those are some of the reasons that I mainly made it my minor, but it was just kind of a no-brainer for me.
Spotlight correspondent Gianna Perez has lots of questions from our audience. Gianna?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kirby Glass.
Thank you. What's your question?
My question is for graduating students, and how do they utilize AI to make sure that they get through other systems that are using AI to scan their resumes?
I think we need to focus on fundamentals, because with AI, I think there's sort of a garbage in, garbage out nature to it. Like if what you're putting into the AI is not interesting, what you get out of the AI won't be that interesting. So you have to start with what makes you interesting.
So I think you just got to be a cool individual first. Like you said, stick to the fundamentals, and then you can use AI as your tool to kind of sharpen your knife and present yourself.
How can I, as a future finance major, leverage AI in order to maximize my career opportunities?
When we use artificial intelligence properly, we can actually take many of these data processing tasks, and we can actually get the LLMs to help us produce the initial script to do the analysis. And that's just one of many examples I can give. But to the extent you can actually take things you're learning in your coursework. Now, obviously, if you're graduating, you have to keep learning. But take what you've done and find out, is there a way to make it work more effectively with artificial intelligence? And that's one of the many ways I would do it when it comes to the financial world. Yeah.
Well, George, Jonathan, thank you for joining us today. And a special thank you to our live audience for your questions. For Spotlight, I'm your host, Natalie King. Thanks for joining us.